We are live from planet Earth. Hopefully broadcasting on some interplanetary frequency where somebody out there listening will come save us from ourselves. Or it's just us humans singing for each other. I can see your comments if anybody has any. And I'm going to just start singing some songs here on Earth Day 2025. Making little adjustments. Tell me if it sounds all right out there. We could tackle the economy first. Get rid of all the billionaires. Set the system up so that instead of hoarding, people share. Make housing, food, and health care basic human rights around the world for everyone is how we'd set our sights. If we could get to that point, I could say that then we could make the planet Earth great again. With human rights around the world, there'd be no refugees, no safeguarding your homeland from terrorists overseas, no need for a border wall, no jobs to protect. With a global basic income, it's simple and direct. Free trade, fair trade, same damn thing. We get to that point, then we can make the planet Earth great again. We could take on other issues like the survival of our race, by which I mean the bipeds on this floating rock in space, the most invasive species anywhere around, the one that keeps on burning everything that can be found, the one that will get it together in the nick of time and then make the planet Earth great again. We can stop spending money on antiquated technology, such as tanks and missiles and most other things military. We can use those vast resources to make us all safe and sound. Windmills in the air, coal and oil in the ground. We can be the envy of the rest of the galaxy when we make the planet Earth great again. We make the planet Earth great again. We make the planet Earth great again. It's a song I wrote about 10 years ago, but it has not gone out of style. And this is Earth Day 2025. It used to be 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Earth Day was a time that college campuses, environmental groups all over the U.S. and beyond took the occasion to have outdoor festivals with lots of speakers and music. And I was one of those musicians that was always busy on Earth Day, along with all the other environmentally inclined musicians I know. We were all very busy and very gainfully employed every Earth Day back when there was a college gig economy. in the USA, which died. Ask Professor Ben Mansky to explain what happened. It was some kind of lawsuit with the U.S. Student Association. I'm not exactly sure, but all the college gigs died. It wasn't just me or you. And here we are. Let's see here. I'm gonna do it. That last one is also the title track of an album. That's just a very recent one up on Spotify. And here's the title track of another album that's very recently up on Spotify and all the other platforms. It is not about the people. Well, there's a lot of people that are getting deported or terrified of getting deported. And then there's those who should be deported but are not getting deported. You say they're criminals, our neighbors who came to raise their families, clean houses, drive trucks, and work in factories. You round them up and take them off in military planes, carrying out your solemn vow back from where they came. But why is it always the poorest of the poor are the ones upon whom we're declaring war? And what if we took back what was never really theirs? Nationalize the banks and deport the billionaires. We could liberate the capital to invest in things we need. Housing, food, and health care, they've got it all indeed. It's all wrapped up in investments and shooting to the moon. And if things go as they're going, they'll have more of it soon. But why is it always the poorest of the poor are the ones upon whom we're declaring war? And what if we took back what was never really theirs? Nationalize the banks and deport the billionaires. Say you'll fix the rising prices that are making us all frown. If you deport our neighbors, maybe rents go down. But I've done the math, and scientists agree. If we nationalize those billions, we can all live here rent-free. Why is it always the poorest of the poor are the ones upon whom we're declaring war? And what if we took back what was never really theirs? Nationalize the banks and deport the billionaires. Nationalize the banks and deport the billionaires. Nationalize the banks and deport the billionaires. And, but of course, that's not who's getting deported. We're deporting all sorts of other people. And speaking of people we're deporting, some of those people we're deporting are Canadians. I'll be seeing you Canadians up in Canada, going there this weekend up to British Columbia. If you're on Vancouver Island or the city of Vancouver, I'll be in Cumberland, Denman Island, and the city of Vancouver, coming right up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then on Monday, I fly to Denmark, where I will be playing gigs in Aalborg, Aarhus, and Skanderborg next week. And that's all to be found at davidrovics.com/tour. You can find out about all those gigs. So if you are in BC or in Denmark or know anybody who's in BC or Denmark, I'd love to see them all at these gigs. And I got a couple of playlists up on SoundCloud about songs related to Canada and songs related to Scandinavia, just to get people in the mood to stay away from my gigs. Or here's one I wrote on after being brought to visit the grave of General Robert Ross on 2 different occasions. Robert Ross was from Rostrevor. He was born in County Down. His family was given land there by the British Crown. He was a man born of the gentry, born with wealth and fame, but he joined the British Army to serve his queen and make his name. In the Napoleonic Wars, he fought in many lands, in Holland and in Spain, in the far-off Egyptian sands. He was wounded there in battle, came back to fight another day, and he was sent off to attack the USA. York had been sacked and burned by invading Yankee men, but the Canadians regrouped, chased the Yankees home, and then the British Navy made its way to the shores of D.C. town, where General Ross burned the White House down. The year was 1814, the U.S. was in retreat. It was a Canadian victory, an American defeat. Without the French to help them, they got their ass whipped by the Crown when General Ross burned the White House down. The place had just been constructed only 12 years before, but it had to be rebuilt soon after this disastrous war. The president turned tail and ran like a raggedy clown when General Ross burned the White House down. He was killed a few months later. Irish rebels stopped him in his tracks. He was buried in Nova Scotia, in the town of Halifax. He might have been forgotten, but he'll forever be renowned. He's the man who burned the White House down. He's the man who burned the White House down. It really happened, and it might happen again. So, the siege on Gaza has been going on now for over 7 weeks. No food, no water, no medicine, nothing is getting in. World news is full of the Pope dying and that'll be true probably for the next week or two, and meanwhile, who knows how many people will starve before that makes the news. There was just, they were talking to the Trump administration in the midst of rounding up and deporting thousands of students with permanent residency, supposedly, and deporting so many other people. They were briefly talking about deporting and imprisoning U.S. citizens for speaking out in support of the wrong groups. But then they clarified those comments and said only if they spend money to support those groups. Free speech is still free, apparently, for citizens for today. So this song is apparently not illegal yet. At the end of the war they called World War II, the ones that survived decided to do something they'd tried that had failed before. The League of Nations collapsed and then came the war. So leaders decided this time must succeed. We must all have a rule book. It must be agreed. Never again, we must move past these times when anyone, anywhere committed such crimes. And since the Nakba, there was no doubt. The UN said you can't just kick them out. And when Israel started its genocide, this meant the whole world then had to decide if we're with the ones standing by and flapping their jaws, or if we're on the side of international law. You know the ones whose mention may get you disappeared from the light of day. There is no neutral with such a siege on. When they're starving them all, you can't wait till they're gone before taking a stand. With a gulf this wide, if we're with those seeking to stop genocide, if we're with the ones standing by and flapping their jaws, or if we're on the side of international law. The truth right now is as scary as fiction as we watch Gaza starve and we're told we can't mention our solidarity with those under attack and with those who saw war crimes and had to fight back, that it would be illegal if we even made clear the names of the groups with our gratitude here. To say if we're with the ones standing by and flapping their jaws, or if we're on the side of international law. At the end of the war they called World War II, I don't know who, somebody sent me a t-shirt that arrived just 2 days ago with a picture of Smokey the Bear, and it says, "Only you can stop fascism," which hopefully isn't true. Hopefully there's a lot of others, but I don't know who sent me that t-shirt, so whoever did, thanks, and tell me who did it. Otherwise, I guess it was like anonymous, or maybe the was what's his name? Guy Fawkes, perhaps. Let's see. What was I going to do? Do this. Well, we just me and Kamala Emanuel, the good Kamala, not the genocidal one. We had a wonderful tour of Mexico, Southern California, England, and Scotland, and I wrote a travel log about it and wrote a couple other things during that time away that didn't make their way into podcast form, but you can find it on my Substack if you're interested. And the high point, as I expected it would be, was at the beginning, although the rest of it was great, but Mexico was particularly wonderful. And I wrote a couple songs there, too. It was 1845 when I left Clifton Town. I was just about the only one left standing on the ground. The clothes upon my back and the instrument in my hands were all I had to take with me to that far-off land. When I got off the coffin ship to Manhattan Isle, it wasn't long before I'd find myself marching single file. They said, "Now you're an American, take this uniform and gun. We'll show you Paddies how the West gets to be won. Prove you're patriotic, join the fight for annexation of most of this neighboring sovereign nation." I thought, I can't be part of this, so with John Riley I did go. I was the piper for the San Patricios. There's no mention of me that history records, but I was just behind the front lines, fingering the chords. I could have put the pipes down, but my comrade said, "Play on." It's what kept them going with so many dead and gone. I played skibbereen, loud and long and slow. I was the piper for the San Patricios. In a flagging moment, I played Rising of the Moon, and then watched the men revive for the battle coming soon. After Churubusco, so many good men dead. When our fort was overrun, I was one of those who fled. I lived out the rest of my days in the land of Mexico, but I was the piper for the San Patricios. And, And while we were in Mexico, it was only like near the end of our visit that this wonderful band put up a new version of Spanish language version of St. Patrick Battalion. And it's wonderful. They're all wearing animal masks, and there's some kick-ass electric guitar playing. I discovered that during our stay in Mexico, that Irish music and dance is hugely popular in Mexico. I guess I was told that, but I didn't believe it till I saw it. Now I can't definitely not deny it anymore. My name is John Riley. I'll have your ear only a while. I left my dear home in Ireland. It was death, starvation, or exile. When I got to America, it was my duty to go. Enter the army and slog across Texas to join in the war against Mexico. And it was there in the pueblos and hillsides that I saw the mistake I had made. Part of a conquering army with the morals of a bayonet blade. And there amidst all these poor dying Catholics, screaming children, the burning stench of it all, myself and 200 Irishmen decided to rise to the call. From Dublin City to San Diego, we witnessed freedom denied, so we formed the St. Patrick Battalion, and we fought on the Mexican side. We formed the St. Patrick Battalion, and we fought on the Mexican side. We marched neath the green flag of St. Patrick, emblazoned with Erin go Bra, bright with the harp and the shamrock, and Libertad Republica. Just 50 years after Wolfe Tone, 5,000 miles away, the gangs called us a legion of strangers, and they can talk as they may. But from Dublin City to San Diego, we witnessed freedom denied, so we formed the St. Patrick Battalion, and we fought on the Mexican side. We formed the St. Patrick Battalion, and we fought on the Mexican side. In 5 major battles, Churubusco was the last. Overwhelmed by the cannons from Boston, we fell after each mortar blast. Most of us died on that hillside in the service of the Mexican state. So far from our occupied homeland, we were heroes and victims of fate. From Dublin City to San Diego, We witnessed freedom denied, so we formed the St. Patrick Battalion, and we fought on the Mexican side, from Dublin City to San Diego. We witnessed freedom denied, so we formed the St. Patrick Battalion, and we fought on the Mexican side. We formed the St. Patrick Battalion, and we fought on the Mexican side. It was a very interesting crowd in Mexico, politically all over the map, but everybody liked that song, and everybody liked this song too. And this song goes out to the late Pope Francis. If you go to Pima County in the Sonoran Desert Lands, you'll find the town of Ajo among the cactus stands. The only town you'll see, the only water too. When someone is thirsty, there's no question what you do. For well over a century, it was a normal thing to have an extra jug of water that you might bring. In the harsh Sonoran, Arizona summer heat, we'd rather give the vultures something else to eat. You didn't ask where I was going, nor where I'd been. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was naked, you gave me clothes. I was a stranger, you let me in. I have this book here, a story I learned well. I always thought I understood the tale that it tells. It's spelled out very clearly in Matthew 25. What a good Christian does when a stranger arrives. You didn't ask where I was going, nor where I'd been. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was naked, you gave me clothes. I was a stranger, you let me in. Now there's a crackdown with life and death on trial. The only place with water for 100 miles. Facing 20 years in prison is a very mighty rod. Now all of us are forced to choose between Caesar and God. You didn't ask where I was going, nor where I'd been. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was naked, you gave me clothes. I was a stranger, you let me in. You let me in. You let me in. Let's see here now. One of the places I'll be going in a few days will be the beautiful little Vancouver Island town of Cumberland. And where is it? Oh my goodness. Okay. And I thought I had the right document open, but apparently I don't. And I will now. There's a man from the town of Cumberland that everybody in Cumberland knows about, and I first ended up in Cumberland because of a commemoration event that they have there every year for a man named Ginger Goodwin. He grew up in Yorkshire County on the class war battle lines. From the age of 14 years, he was working in the mines. He saw the children dying of hunger and disease. His family was evicted, and he headed overseas. Cape Breton, Nova Scotia was where he landed for a while. Then he hopped a freight for about 3,000 miles, ended up out west by Nanaimo Bay, where he worked the number 5 pit and spent his final days. Let's remember the departed, and for us the things they gave, as we're gathered here by Ginger Goodwin's grave. As we're gathered here by Ginger Goodwin's grave. In England and in Canada, from the east out to the west, the miners lived and died at capital's behest. Ginger saw the writing that was covering the wall. One big union was the watchword for the workers, one and all. Ginger organized the miners, and they struck for better pay. They struck the Dunsmuir collieries and fought to see the day when the labor movement could say its work was done, with a world run by workers for the good of everyone. Let's remember the departed, and for us the things they gave, as we're gathered here by Ginger Goodwin's grave. As we're gathered here by Ginger Goodwin's grave. When the war to end all wars came, he knew it was a lie. He said he wouldn't fight for bosses, he wouldn't kill or die. He had black lung from the mines, but they called him fit to go. So he hid out in the mountains, out in the rain and snow. The cop who went to find him, this is what he said: I'm gonna bring him in, whether that's alive or dead. The people gained a martyr who would never leave our side, and 10,000 workers marched when they heard that Ginger died. Let's remember the departed, and for us the things they gave, as we're gathered here by Ginger Goodwin's grave. As we're gathered here by Ginger Goodwin's grave. Let's remember the departed, and for us the things they gave, as we're gathered here by Ginger Goodwin's grave. As we're gathered here by Ginger Goodwin's grave. And after BC, and I fly to Denmark, and in Denmark, well, for many, many years in Denmark, every time I'd play in Aalborg, which is where I'll be playing on May 1st, which I've played at on many, many occasions in the past, although my favorite May 1st that ended in Aalborg actually began in Copenhagen. I had 5 gigs starting at 8 in the morning in Copenhagen, ending at 9 at night in Aalborg. But this time, it's just I'll be hanging around Silkeborg during the day a bit and then going up to Aalborg for the evening. So no 5 gigs this time, but for many years, I'd very predictably see a guy named Petter Ness, who was from Oslo but was teaching urban planning at Aalborg University. And then later he went back to Oslo. He retired in 2021. And then he reformed his band, Folkflest, which was around back in the 70s. And we would do gigs. He'd organize gigs for me and him every year. And Petter just died last month. Apparently, I just heard a couple days ago. He was 74 years old and in amazingly good health. I had never expected he was going to die so young. But he was participating in a race and crossed the finish line, and apparently that was it. But this is a song about a windmill that was first built near Aalborg, where I first met Petter. It was in the 1970s. The fuel crisis had begun. The choices were presented to us as if we had none. Leaders of industry said they could solve the problem by mastering the power of the radioactive atom. Some folks in Western Jutland got a notion in their heads. They thought there might be something they could offer up instead. A few hundred people gathered at a little place called Tvind and declared their will to harness the power of the wind. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. There were many who said their science wasn't sound, that such a mighty windmill would simply topple to the ground. Some of them were scientists, the vast majority were not, but they knew with years of effort you could do a lot. Word about the project spread far and wide. 100,000 visitors came to help and to advise. Till one day these windmill builders drove in with a crane and lifted up their giant wings with a mighty chain. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. When Tvindkraft was completed, it reached up to the sky. Its wings churned in the air. At 54 meters high, the critics all fell silent. No one now was jeering, as even industry agreed this was some damn fine engineering. The wind regaled Jutland from the North Atlantic Sea as it was seamlessly converted into electricity. It was power for the people, leukemia for none, when they declared in Denmark, just south of the midnight sun. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. They gave away the patents. They said knowledge should be free. And their plans were copied by a newborn industry. Soon Denmark would be known as a windmill building nation, and it all started with some hippies at the Tvindkraft power station. Debates were held in Parliament about which way things should go. Build a nuclear reactor, the majority said no. It could have gone quite differently. In much of the world it did, except for those in Ulfborg who said we're getting off the grid. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. Let's see here. How about couple? One for another one from my most recent album, Deport the Billionaires. When the people united, we all learned how to say that in English and Spanish and Chinese and Russian, Arabic and Quechua, Farsi, Greenlandic and Danish. We all came to a giant convention to hatch a plan for the wrongs to be righted, and the billionaires all hid out in their mansions. When the people united, we decided to form one big union and to guarantee housing for all, along with health care and standards for wages and safety, beneath which no country shall fall. We decided to take over the banks, we the workers who wouldn't be slated, take all the wealth of the 0.1%. When the people united, and the one big union proclaimed all the real estate tycoons, all the hedge fund investors who bought up the world and took us all for buffoons, shall henceforth be housed somewhere with the rest of the indicted, while their stocks are dispersed to us. When the people united, we changed all the corporate charters. So first came the air and the soil. Naturally, all the factories were retooled, so we stopped burning coal and oil. And we all took a deep breath, looked around at everyone so excited for the future we'd build together. When the people united, at that meeting we all decided the message we all take to heart was to make sure that never again would the people be kept apart. We all said that we'd fight no more. Around the planet folks were delighted when we all started smashing the gunships. When the people united, when the people united, we all learned how to say that in English and Spanish and Chinese and Russian, Arabic and Quechua, Farsi, Greenlandic and Danish. And that's how I wish things were. And it's also a song I would sing on May 1st, because that's what May 1st is for, singing songs like that. Here's another song I'll be singing on May 1st, which I usually end every concert with anyway. Or it's one of the ending type songs about how things should be, and hopefully will be, if we have any hope for our species. Fifth month of the year, on the 1st of May, known around the world as International Workers' Day. You'll still see people marching in every corner of the earth. St. John to Santiago, Kerala to Perth, all keeping alive the fantasy what could happen down the line when the workers of the world combine. See us gathering early in the morn. Some are celebrating the shackles we have shorn, while so many billions are just waiting for the moment that we might stop losing the class war, when someday we can all say, yeah, we're doing fine. When the workers of the world combine. Time arrives, maybe it looks like May Day, like a festival that comes home and doesn't go away. Every race and gender, every walk and station, with the working class united, every land and nation. Then just watch what happens when we follow the same sign. When the workers of the world combine. Month of the year, on the 1st of May, known around the world as International Workers' Day. Well, I'll do I am singing from the capital of left-wing dysfunctionality here in Portland, Oregon. So I will, in homage to my fellow Portlandia residents, I'll do this song, which I wrote a long time ago, before Twitter even existed. Dedicated to Portlandia. And it also goes out to all those protest organizers all over the country who are not having any music at any of their protests. You're making a terrible mistake. I'm so glad you're out there organizing protests, but they're all going to shrink and die and come to nothing if you don't have culture as part of them. That's just how it goes. So, change your ways and start inviting all them local musicians to come be involved, and the sound systems will improve, and everything will improve, and the crowds will grow, and that's what happened before. It's been done before. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Most of the protests should be music. That's how it is. That's how it needs to be. That's how it is around the world. There's a reason for that. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just do how it's been done. Have music. I don't drive a car because they run on gas, but if I did, it'd run on biomass. I ride a bike, or sometimes a skateboard, so piss off all you drivers and your yuppie hordes sitting all day in the traffic queues. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't eat meat, I just live on moldy chives or the donuts that I found in last week's dumpster dives. Look, you people in that restaurant, I think you are so sad when you could have been eating bagels like the ones that I just had. I think it is a shame, all the bourgeois things you do. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't wear leather, and I like my clothes in black, and I made a really cool hammock from a moldy coffee sack. I like to hop on freight trains. I think that is so cool. It's so much funner doing this than being stuck in school. I can't believe you're wearing those brand new shiny shoes. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't have sex, and there will be no sequel because heterosexual relationships are inherently unequal. I'll just keep on moshing to Anti-Flag and Crass until there are no differences in gender, race, or class. All you brainwashed breeders, you just haven't got a clue. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't believe in leaders. I think consensus is the key. I don't believe in stupid notions like representative democracy. Whether or not it works, I know it is the case that only direct action can save the human race. So when I see you in your voting booth, then I know it's true. I'm a better anarchist than you. I am not a pacifist. I like throwing bricks, and when the cops have caught me and I've taken a few licks, I always feel lucky if I get a bloody nose because I feel so militant and everybody knows. By the time the riot is all through, I'm a better anarchist than you. I'm a better anarchist than you. And you guys have been a lovely audience, I say, because that number keeps on growing throughout the show. So that's just, I don't have a whole lot to go on. I'm sorry, I can't see you or hear you or anything, but that's, we're getting used to this kind of like disconnected kind of concert phenomenon. But you out there in the world, if you're in British Columbia, I'm going to be there this weekend. And if you know anybody in the city of Vancouver or the island of Vancouver, I'll be in both places. And Cumberland, Denman Island, and which is an island within an island, and the city of Vancouver this coming weekend. Next week, I'll be in Denmark, in Aalborg, in Aarhus, and in Skanderborg. I don't know when I'll ever have another gig in Germany, but just so you Germans know, which my second biggest audience online is in Germany. So apparently, there's still people listening to me in Germany, even though I never go there anymore. But you come on up to Denmark. The Jutland Peninsula is just north of Hamburg. It's a couple hours north, and then you're in Jutland, and it's beautiful, and it's even colder and windier than Hamburg. So then when you get back to Hamburg, you'll think it's like nice and southern and balmy and not cold or windy. So come up to Jutland and hang out with us there. People do that. You'll meet some other really cool Germans. It happens. Then I'll be back in Portland. Very happy to get into any trouble. If there's any organizers, protests, any of you people, hands-off people, you want to have music at your protest, you could talk to me. I know other musicians too. You need music at those protests, and we're available. I got sound system. Other musicians have sound systems. No need to have crappy sound, and a bunch of people saying things that you already know. We all already know. That's why we're there. We go to the protest because we already know how bad things are. We don't want anybody yelling at us, and we don't want to say, hey, ho, ever again. So have some music at those protests, and then they might grow instead of shrink, like what they're doing right now. And there's a lot to oppose. I mean, it's ridiculous if we can't have a protest movement against this fascist regime. That'd be really sad. So come on, let's do it like it's been done before. Music, And here's another song for May 1st, which of course is coming right up. And what else? This will all be up, after the fact on various platforms. I'll put it up on Substack and Patreon and elsewhere. And you can also, I write essays and record podcasts, and you can find them on Substack, on Patreon. And if you look up This Week with David Rovics, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also support me on Substack and Patreon, and also at davidrovics.com/subscribe, which is how I survive these days in the post-college gig, post-CD, post-everything kind of era. And here's a song called They All Sang the Internationale. Katerina Jakob, long before she took that name, was organizing workers in Hamburg just the same. Organizing beneath the flag of deepest red, a new dawn of peace and freedom clearly shining in her head. Katerina Jakob first was sent to jail when the trappings of democracy all began to fail. She was frequently arrested in and out of custody while her first husband was in hiding from the Nazis. Katerina Jakob was acquitted of a crime, but the Gestapo had the last word. They weren't finished with her this time. She was sent to Ravensbrück, a killing hunger at her side. She heard of the execution, how her second husband died. For Katerina Jakob, the end was close at hand. She was on a death march with a ragged, starving band, marching through a forest, being led by the SS. What would happen hours later seemed impossible to guess. When the sun rose the next morning, it was the 1st of May, and they all sang the Internationale. They all sang the Internationale. Katerina Jakob thought about her children and the friends and comrades taking care of them, not knowing yet if any of them survived, not knowing that soon she'd see her daughters both alive. Katerina Jakob watched the German soldiers fleeing, streaming from the east, that's what she was seeing. Allied bombers flew above them, she thought they all might die, and then soon there was the silence of all the SS men. When the sun rose the next morning, it was the 1st of May, and they all sang the Internationale. They all sang the Internationale. Katerina Jakob saw red flags flapping in the breeze above the Russian tanks, and she fell upon her knees. And so many different voices in so many different tongues sang the most beautiful song that could ever have been sung. In German, Lithuanian, in Polish and in Dutch, a myriad of melodies as never had been such. In Russian and in Yiddish, Italian and French, emerging from the forest beneath a trench. When the sun rose the next morning, it was the 1st of May, and they all sang the Internationale. When the sun rose the next morning, it was the 1st of May, and they all sang the Internationale. They all sang the Internationale. Volker, die Signale auf zum letzten Gefecht. Die Internationale erkämpft das Menschenrecht. Volker, die Signale auf zum letzten Gefecht. Die Internationale erkämpft das Menschenrecht. Vielen Dank, tusen tak, merci beaucoup. Hope to see you soon in BC or Denmark or somewhere else on the road. Australia in July. Take care, everybody. Keep on keeping on. Dunk.